She
Right.
was controlled by so many people, I'm sure. Like, why blame the woman? She's just the figurehead, I guess. But because I just feel like she was this young girl, just Sofia Coppola portrays her, you know.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. But let them eat cake. It's a well-known statement falsely attributed to Marie Antoinette. Welcome, everyone. This is a new podcast that I'm starting with my sister, Kayla. My name is Carly, and we are here to talk about movies mostly. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, Carly.
And, it's not all about romance movies or anything. We're thinking that, you can watch a movie and you'll be swooning over the costumes or swooning over the music score. So, it's just what we fall in love with in movies, which is oftentimes the whole aesthetic of a movie, right, Gail?
There's so much to talk about. Like, I'm just really excited about getting this time with my sister to talk about the movies that we grew up with and the movies we're still discovering and all the cool things we're learning and I'm very nervous right now. As you can tell, just being recorded in general makes me nervous, but here we go.
Here we go. And when we think of aesthetic and when we think of like a movie that brought us closer, that's really been a staple in our lives, I think there's one movie that came to mind, right, Kayla?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think, oh my God, that's my Roman Empire. You know how the Roman Empire thing that's going around? That's Marie Antoinette's my Roman Empire. I just realized that.
What you think
Yes.
about all
Yes,
the time.
I think about it every day, which is kind of strange, probably to some people are like, what? Like you think about, and it's not necessarily, actually, it's both. I think about Marie Antoinette herself, and I think about this movie that Sofia Coppola made.
Yeah, no,
Maybe not
no.
every day, but a
It's been
lot.
a staple in our life for the aesthetics and the music and the costumes and just so everyone knows what we're talking about. Sofia Coppola's third movie that she made in 2006, Marie Antoinette, starring Kirsten Dunst. And we didn't even see it in theaters, if I'm not mistaken.
I
It
remember I
just
saw a trailer in theaters, and I was like, that was the first time that's like my memory of when I first realized that movies were like art, because I was like, this is so different from anything I've ever seen. It was just a trailer, it was the music from, I think it was The Cure or something. It was
New
Durner,
Order. I think
New
New
Order.
Order. Yeah.
And she was running in Marie Antoinette. And I was because I had read a book when I was in middle school, and I forget the author. It had like a gold trim, like pages on the edge, like it was a little blue book. And that's when I first realized like I was interested in Marie Antoinette because she was like young. She was like I was probably the same age as her, like 14 when I read the book. That's when I like really felt a connection with her in a strange way. And then I remember years later I saw a trailer and I was like, oh my God, they made a movie about her.
And I don't think I was with you during that trailer, but definitely became interested in it. And like you said, she was a 14-year-old who was sent away from her home in Austria to the Palace of Versailles in France. A lot of times in the past, people have villainized her. But then what Sofia Coppola did in her movie, and she got that from a book. I don't know if it's the same book you read, but
No, no.
the
Definitely.
Antonia Fraser biography.
Yeah. No, the book
Um,
I read was for like 14-year-olds probably. It was for
okay.
I
Like
got it.
historical fiction, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I probably got it because it looked cute. Like it was blue and gold. But no, yes. Wait, did you read the book? The Antonia Fraser book?
I did. I did after seeing the movie. What's great is like I'm not a big biography reader, but this one, the way she writes, it's easy to digest. It's fun. It's not fact, fact, fact. It's kind of it paints the picture. And
Visual.
so yeah, visually
That's
and
so cool. Okay, I need to read it for sure. I'm finally getting into reading with my Kindle, so I'm gonna download it and I'm gonna read it. But I'm glad you read it because needs to have read it when we're talking about it.
yeah, and then Kayla and I have both recently looked through the Sofia Coppola archive book that she published this last year. And in it, there's even a letter she wrote to Lady Antonia Fraser. She wrote a letter to the author. She wanted to make the
Oh my
movie.
gosh, we gotta go over that because I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, she wrote a letter to Lady Antonia saying she was going to make the film, and she wanted to express how a girl experiences the grandeur of a palace, the clothes, parties, rivals, and ultimately having to grow up. And she herself said she, felt a camaraderie with her growing up from a strong family and fighting for her own identity. So you can see in the movie that she made, like she was very passionate about this movie. And Kirsten Dunst, I think, was the perfect actress for it.
Well, yeah, because they work so well together, not Marie Antoinette, Sofia Coppola and her. And it's just, I don't know if other people connect with it as I just feel like it's the perfect story for like people in middle school, high school that are just like, because she's a teenager, and like, and even though you're not a royalty, like you're still going through the same things of wanting to feel accepted and nervous going into a new place, like a new school, and
Oh, that's a good
just
point.
it's just such a like there's so many ways to connect to it. I feel like that's why, because I think you remember I literally watched this every day in high school. Like once I watched it, I couldn't stop watching it. I was obsessed with it.
No, we were obsessed. We both had CDs. I think we even bought our own CDs. I had one in my car because I'm older, just so the audience knows. I wasn't as young. I was 17 and, still in high school, senior year. If I'm not mistaken, I was a senior. You do have your senior prom and some of those kinds of parties to go to. And I remember listening to the soundtrack, trying to get me pumped up. Of course, I was nervous about those types of events, but yeah, the soundtrack, so it has like the whole new order, the new wave, like
Mhm.
the Cure, like you said, new order.
And we can't forget that Thomas Mars, who's the lead singer of Phoenix, is also part of this Marie Antoinette soundtrack. And they're actually married now, which is very cool. They weren't at the time of filming. They actually met prior to this movie on the set of The Virgin Suicides, but they were both already, married at the time or together with someone. And so when they were on this set together is when they started dating.
That's so cool. I've noticed, yeah, Phoenix is always on the soundtrack, I think for Lost in Translation too. And yeah, so this is the scene where Marie Antoinette is lounging in Le Petit Trianon and there are musicians around her playing, and that's the band Phoenix. So cool.
Very cool.
And then the Strokes, that one song from the
That
Strokes.
was when I fell in love with the Strokes. That's the first time I've ever heard. That's still my favorite song of theirs, Whatever Happened.
Mhm.
Ugh. But I was watching some videos about Marie Antoinette, so this is not my think. I mean, I watched an interview with Sofia Coppola, and she said that like, all those New Order type bands, what's it called again? The type of
New
music?
Romantics or New Wave.
New Wave. A lot of those from like the 80s had a lot of Rococo kind of style.
No,
Which is so
definitely.
cool. Like she's just a genius. Maybe one day we'll interview her. So yeah, the music is just phenomenal.
So about the costumes, because that's like I think another reason we can watch it over and over again. Every time you watch it, you notice a different costume. You notice a different um actress or background actor and what they're wearing. And I read that Kirsten Dunst said she had over 60 gowns,
Dang.
but they're just so stunning. And then also in the archives book it mentioned that she drew from Sophia. She used the costume designer Milena Canonero, an Italian costume designer who specialized in she's done a lot of work in period films like Barry Lyndon. She sent her like the color palette of the Ladurée macarons,
Oh yeah.
which we are also obsessed with, probably from this
Oh
movie.
yeah.
So the color palette is like pastels and yeah.
Ugh, it's candy for the eyes, the whole movie, honestly. And so
Mhm.
some people, I think, they don't get past that. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh, this is
I think
superficial.
it's a shallow, yeah,
I think it's
superficial.
shallow, but it's not. Like, and maybe I'm biased just because I feel like I connect with it so much. And I think, I mean, a lot of people do, I think. They're like, oh, this is just a pretty movie. There's no depth.
Some people are turned off because it doesn't have like a strong plot. It's not a plot driven movie, which we like.
It's emotional,
Aesthetics, emotion,
visual emotion.
and just trying to go along her journey, which is not always like there's not always some like strong plot in your life, some mystery or some,
No, and
you
see,
know,
that's another reason why I keep going back to high school because it's like there's no plot to high school. It's class after class, and it's all the emotions. That's all it is. No plot, emotions.
So are you thinking like that scene where it shows her waking up every morning, getting dressed for her life at Versailles? You're kind of thinking
Oh my
that
God,
a
yeah,
nod.
that's how it is every morning. You wake up, you look in the mirror, you get dressed the same exact way. That's so funny that we're just not thinking of that. But yeah.
That scene, that montage. Well, it's just probably the movie you and I have seen the most. You
Yeah.
know, even playing in the background because this is just kind
Yeah.
of silly, but when I was getting married and we were all in the Airbnb with you and our friends, and I just had it playing on in the background because it's such a comfort movie and uh,
Yeah.
good aesthetics. And
I remember that. That was awesome. And I remember we went on that cruise when we were younger with the family and it was playing on the TV and we were just like,
that was random. This was 2007. Okay, so I guess it was kind of a new release. We went on our only family cruise vacation that we ever had, and we were sharing a small stateroom with our closest friend. She's like a sister to us, Adrian. And the three of us, we just turned on the TV and that movie was playing like 24/7. And it was just so perfect.
oh man, thinking back to 2007, like I remember there was a Beyonce music video on that TV. Like it's just crazy to think about how cool it was back then and now. Because at the moment you didn't think back then it was like cool, but you know what I mean? Off
I mean,
topic.
who knows? I haven't been on a cruise in a while. I don't know if they might not even have like cable, or they probably have streaming and Wi-Fi on cruises now, so it's different. I want to talk more about the costumes because we mentioned, you know, the costume designer Milena Canonero, and she won the Oscar that
Yeah,
year for best costume design, which is awesome.
that is awesome.
And then the hair and makeup team won the BAFTA. So that's like the British Oscars, the BAFTA for hairstyle and makeup. Jean-Luc Roussier and Desiree Corradoni. They're the makeup and hair team. So award-winning movie for costumes, hair, and makeup. I'm sure they used a lot. Well, I know they use a lot of wigs because the
Yeah.
Marie Antoinette wig is what's,
And
iconic.
what I love about the makeup of this movie is how it's not overdone. And I think because you had me watch that other show, which we can talk about, which I'm sure is great, but like that was one thing that kind of was like, oh my God, they just packed the makeup on that poor girl. Like it was almost clownish. And it's like,
And they did bring the sort of Harlequin clown elements into that one. BBC Canal Plus made a 2002 series.
mhm.
So I think it's
So
eight
so you're
parts.
saying that was intentional because that changes things.
No, that was intentional. The overdone makeup, because in certain parts of it, it kind of has like a jester kind of feel.
I like that. Yeah, like the beginning when she's kind of like dancing around, like I was like, what is she
Give
doing?
it a shot. Give it a shot because I think the show. I went in, of course, it's hard to change our minds. The Sofia Coppola film is the ultimate, but I do like the show, and it really plays on the naivete of the young Marie Antoinette going to the palace, and the Louis, the one who plays her prince, eventually King Louis the 16th. Louis says, I really like that actor.
Oh, he did good. He was very awkward, just like how I picture Louis the
Just like
Sixth.
Jason Schwartzman and
Okay, well that changes things because I was going into it obviously like a Marie Antoinette movie, but no, I needed that. I think.
give
in
it a shot. Give it a shot. And it's a real German actress, so that's kind of nice. Sophia mentions that Kirsten Dunst has German ancestry, so that's kind of another reason she chose her.
Yeah.
Um, but and that's, I mean, I do like Jason Schwartzman's performance.
Oh, I
And
love him as King Louis. I think he's perfect.
his sort of
He looks,
deadpan
I
humor.
he looks from what I remember, like he's kind of on the shorter side, and they made him gain weight, I think, and like he did a great job.
And then other Marie Antoinette adaptations. So you and I both seen the 1938 Marie Antoinette starring Norma Shearer.
I need to watch that again, honestly. It's been a while, but I love Norma Shearer. It was really good, but
Well, the costumes are stunning.
yeah.
The ball gowns she wears, costumes by a costume designer named Adrian, and he went by Adrian. There's like a gold lame gown. There's a white ostrich feather costume. It's really, if you watch it, you'll just fall in love with the costumes.
Is it better than the Sophia movie, you'd say? So different.
Just different. I mean, it doesn't have the same personal, closeness that we have to
Yeah.
that one, but it's worth a watch. Other actresses who've played Marie Antoinette: Jane Seymour in a 5-hour French Revolution movie in 1989. Jolie Richardson, she played her in The Affair of the Necklace in 2001. I haven't seen those two.
Oh.
Um, Diane Kruger,
Yeah.
who's a, she speaks multiple languages. Perfect choice, I think, for Marie Antoinette in Farewell, My Queen, a French film from 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, there's a couple recent adaptations of Marie Antoinette I'm going to share with you all. So Lucy Boynton, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, in Chevalier. So the story's not about Marie Antoinette, but it's about someone in her court, Chevalier. That was fun. And Catherine Walker plays a Marie Antoinette who's about to be beheaded in Napoleon, the recent Joaquin Phoenix
Oh,
Napoleon movie.
really? Oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch that.
Marie Antoinette will always have different actresses playing her. She's such a part of history.
I know. And so, fun fact, I mean, thank you for all that. But so I was talking to my coworkers, like it came up somehow. We were talking about, oh yeah, I was just recommending the movie to one of my coworkers, and she's like, Isn't she the one that said, let them eat cake? Like, isn't she mean? I was like, she never
Right.
said that. Like, so to this day, she's still fighting all those rumors that the French revolutionist made up, you know? Like,
No, that's true. That's a good point. And what do you think about how Sofia Coppola puts that into the movie? Because she put it in the movie.
it's perfect because that's how people picture her if they think of her only for saying that. Like, that's how they picture her. Like, let them eat cake. She didn't say that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting part of the movie. It's worth watching and seeing how Sofia Coppola adds that, but then it cuts to Kirsten Dunst saying, "I would never say that." It was.
Yeah, I
It,
mean, it's just like today with celebrities, they put things in the tabloids and maybe
Mhm.
some of it's true, maybe it's not, you know. I mean, I think that they did spend a lot. Just like they were spending
Oh yeah.
more than they should have,
Oh yeah.
and they were
No,
probably,
we're not condoning
yeah.
the French palace's, actions and spending
But
habits.
it wasn't Marie Antoinette's fault. Heck no. She was a young woman. She
Right.
was controlled by so many people, I'm sure. Like, why blame the woman? She's just the figurehead, I guess. But because I just feel like she was this young girl, just Sofia Coppola portrays her, you know,
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. But let them eat cake. It's a well-known statement falsely attributed to Marie Antoinette.
to this day.
Yeah, but that's just, that's probably another point that people, as you said, kind of relate to in the movie is, kids going through school, they get bullied, they get gossip spread about them, rumors. So that will never change. And that's something that people can relate to.
Yeah. That other podcast we listened to about period dramas, I liked the point she made about how when you're like a teenager and you're, you know, growing up and how these romantic, period films, they just really resonate with you because maybe you haven't had like a boyfriend yet and you're just like, but you
Right.
still have crushes and you're just kind of a hopeless romantic already. And then you watch
Uh-huh.
these movies and they just connect with your soul and you're just like, it just makes you feel so like giddy and
No, it's true.
is you. And I
So
think,
that
yeah.
no, that's exactly right. And then you have to think of the scenes in the 2006 Marie Antoinette Sofia Coppola movie with Jamie Dornan. So
Oh,
he so this is his first movie role. He goes on, we've seen him in other things, and of course he's well known for the 50 Shades of Grey, that
yeah.
actor. But this was his first movie role, and he plays Count Fersen,
Mhm.
the romantic um, you know, crush of Marie Antoinette,
To-
and
Totally swoon-worthy.
very swoon-worthy. Yes, 100%. And the scene where he's fighting in a war and he, you know what I'm saying, he bucks up the horse or whatever, and
Yeah.
that's modeled after a painting.
Oh, of him?
Like, no, 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 no.
I always love that scene because it's so relatable to teenagers where when you are picturing your crush and they're just like, and you're just like, oh my gosh. And, it's, better than life. It's just your imagination.
Yeah.
She's just so relatable, I guess.
Well, and actually other scenes of Marie Antoinette, um, they they use actual paintings of Marie Antoinette and they sort of put Kirsten Dunst's face overlaid with the paintings.
Oh, yeah. That was
And
cool.
I think that's cool. I think it was well done. Um, Queen of Debt, that one. Oh, here we go. Okay, so Napoleon Crossing the Alps by Jacques-Louis David from 1802. If you look up Napoleon Crossing the Alps, the painting, you'll see it looks just like Count Fersen's scene in Marie Antoinette, where she's dreaming about him, swooning over him.
I gotta look it up. Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
That
Interesting
is,
that they
yeah,
chose Napoleon, but I like that.
yeah, right. But the look is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about Jason Schwartzman, Jamie Dornan, other actors and actresses in this movie. We have Rip
Well,
Torn.
we mentioned that Jason Schwartzman is the cousin of Sofia Coppola.
We did not mention that.
I mean, I just think that's how lucky is she to have all these amazing people in her life. Anyway.
No, that's fine. Yeah, yeah. Um, and then Asia Argento is Madame du Barry,
Hmm.
sort of like a rival to the young Dauphine in the court of Versailles. She is the mistress of the king when she first gets there, the grandfather king, played by Rip Torn. Um, Rose Byrne plays the Duchess of Polignac,
Hmm.
and I think her character is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, she really almost stole the show, honestly. Like
She's a scene
I love
stealer.
her. I love her in like Troy. Like she's
Yeah, but she definitely, I would say, is a scene stealer, and her costumes are always different colors than Marie Antoinette's. Like they're more like jewel tones to Marie Antoinette's pastels, which I think is interesting.
yeah.
And she kind of plays someone who's maybe a bit more used to society, and she knows how to play the game. So she takes her to the opera and to the balls, and um, they became, best friends and confidants, the Duchess de Polignac and Marie Antoinette.
Was she married to someone
Sh the actress or the character?
in real life? Duchess to the Duchess.
Yeah, so she was married, but he was kind of, she could kind of ignore him, I think,
Okay.
and just go to parties. And
She was the favorite of Marie Antoinette.
she became the favorite after the Princess of Lamballe, Princess Lamballe.
But I think it wasn't Lumball her favorite, like most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. And in the show, in the series, the one that you haven't watched fully yet, the 2022, you see the rivalry between those two
Oh, okay.
a bit. Because Lamballe is maybe a bit more, conservative. She doesn't create gossip for herself, whereas Polignac is like, she
Yeah.
doesn't care what people think about her. She probably had plenty of affairs and partied, so to speak. So a lot of people thought she was the bad influence on Marie Antoinette, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, at least they had fun.
They did have fun before getting beheaded.
Oh, and speaking of that, I remember because I was reading that book when I was really young and they went over like her being beheaded and I was just and I also read a book about Anne Boleyn and I'm like, oh my gosh, all these women,
Anne Boleyn has always been a favorite historical character of mine.
which I'm
Uh,
sure we'll go over
at
that
some,
at
yeah,
some
we'll
point.
definitely have to talk about Anne
But
Boleyn.
but back to the costumes of this movie, like because you know how I don't know if we mentioned how like the costumes are also like a character and how they like express the mood for sure. Like when she's at the Petit Trianon and she even said like she's Marie Kirsten Dunst said she's not wearing corsets at that point and
Yeah, so it's good that you brought that up. So in when she's in the court of Versailles, she's wearing um, your corseted gowns, and then she finally provides France with an heir. And so when that happens, Louis gives her, a little more free reign, the keys to Le Petit Trianon, sort of a getaway house. And it's at that point in the movie, and I believe this checks with the true history, she's able to kind of wear more comfortable clothing, let her hair down a bit more. And that famous like simple cotton gown that she wore in the movie. It's called it's known as the robe de gull, and she's able to really um, kind of get into her own identity a bit more. So we see her reading in the fields and,
And she's
you know,
putting on like plays or she's singing.
yeah, she puts on little theatricals and gets to have her friends close by
Yeah.
and get away from the court. And you can kind of think of that, like she was probably just fed up with that court life and having to give birth in the public births.
And get dressed every morning in public. And then after they get married, the marriage bed ceremony, like, ugh, I can't imagine.
Always being watched. And so this kind of allows her, and then you see it with the style of dress, it mirrors that. So that's a fun scene.
Yeah, I just love the movie costumes because a lot of those period films, it's the same costumes throughout the whole movie and you get kind of bored of it, you know. But this has so much variation and it's just very intriguing to the eye and
Yeah.
I love it.
And and then there's the scene we can't not talk about, prior to this, the scene where she goes shopping, essentially.
I was gonna ask you, what is your favorite scene from the movie? Because I remember I would like play that scene just over and over again.
I know. It's got the music from Bow Wow Wow, I Want Candy. And she brings in, you see some Converse shoes
Yeah.
there in the background. So
I
she's
remember the
able,
first time I noticed that. I was like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
look at those.
yeah, it's really trying to just make you feel like this could be, a shopping trip of your own, and there's candy and champagne flowing. That's an amazing scene.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you think like she's just a teenager because I remember every teenager, at least when I was in school, had a pair of Converse, you know. I don't
Yeah.
know if those are in style anymore, but and I think I like bought a pair that were that color.
Yeah, of course.
Oh man, where are those? Anyway,
Yeah, no, that's definitely a scene we're talking about. So you asked my favorite scene. Oh, that's so hard. I mean, I love when they go to the opera. So it's a ball scene in Paris, and it's filmed at the Opera Garnier um, place in Paris. And it's the masquerade ball scene. I think that's probably,
oh yeah, I love that scene when she's like going home after that and it's so early in the morning, it's starting to get lighter and she's just in the little carriage listening to the music. Like I don't know why. I always
mhm,
loved that scene. It just had such an I don't know if the word ethereal is
yeah, yeah,
weird. And I also loved it when after she had her 18th birthday
yes,
party and then in the morning they're running outside just being crazy. Like how
the
fun
sunrise.
to like just have all that land because the Palace of Versailles, you know, surrounded by forest and it's just secluded and right.
Yeah, we've actually been there.
I know. I didn't know if we were gonna talk about that, but
We made the trip to France because I was going to study abroad, and my mom felt like she wanted to go to France with us first as a family, just so she would let me go study abroad. So we went
oh,
to,
is that really why?
yeah. So we went there and we went to Versailles. It's about 45 minutes outside of Paris, the palace. And I mean, talk about like stepping back in time, because that little area, I mean, everything's like cobblestone and
You could see the indentions and
gate.
marble stairs of how many people had walked, like Marie Antoinette had walked all those stairs. Like it was just crazy. Like, ugh.
Yeah. It was the fact that we got to go, I think we went in 2010. So this movie,
Oh, I think it was 2009. I
maybe.
graduated high school in 2010, so like,
Okay. No, you're right. You're right. And we brought our friends slash sister Adrienne with us, and we actually wore floral dresses to Versailles.
yes, we did. Even though I was looking back at my shoes I was wearing and it was like, what was I thinking? My shoes did not go with that at all. They were like these little be beachy, like brown wicker shoes. I don't
I
know.
don't remember that. I'll have to go look at that. But we wore floor dresses, and it's funny because cosplays become more accepted now. So now I see tons of people dressing up, going to Versailles, but like wearing full on period clothing. But
Mhm.
back when we went, I think most people were kind of wearing drab, you know, shirts and jeans and
Sweatpants, t-shirt,
sweat.
jeans.
Yeah. Well, maybe not sweatpants because this is Paris, but we may have stood out a bit in our floral dresses.
Yeah. And I remember I actually not speaking, I couldn't speak a word of French. I went into the McDonald's that right up outside the train and they helped me to purchase a bunch of macaroons. I bought like 3 dozen macaroons.
Not many. Oh my
I
goodness.
bought so many. And I was like, I was a greedy little child and I like barely let anybody else have any. Like, what's wrong with me?
Oh my goodness.
But
I
they
don't,
looked perfect. They looked like Lauderay macaroons in the McDonald's.
yeah, no, that's probably one of my favorite little things, random details about France is like the McDonald's in train stations and all that have macarons for sale.
Yeah. And I remember it was so weird. Like I was trying to order, I was like trying to say the French numbers and they were really nice in there. Like she knew I think as long as you try to speak French, they're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions I think about traveling in France, but
Okay, so the Oscar-winning costumes by Milena Canonero, we talked a bit about them, but I wanted to ask, what is your favorite costume or costumes from the movie?
Oh, that's so hard because, there's just so many beautiful costumes in Marie Antoinette. My all-time favorite is definitely the baby blue get up she's wearing from when she's first arriving to Versailles from France. I mean, no, sorry, from Vienna, Austria to France. And she's just that's like the classic thing you picture is her in that baby blue dress. She's probably 14 or 15. And I just think it's so cute. And but I have to say my very close second is her 18th birthday party. That cream, it's like a satiny cream kind of dress and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
colors in it with she's got like a pink feather in her hair and it's just very beautiful.
Yeah, does in that one, does she have a pink flower too? Am I picturing it right?
It might be a flower actually. Yeah, or
Probably
both.
both. I think both.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love the first one she wears too because she has to um take off what she's wearing from Austria. Like they make her strip and put on the French clothes and it's that baby blue like you said, the little tricorn hat and the jacket. It's great.
Mhm.
So beautiful.
It is. The whole movie.
Do you want to know what my favorite?
Oh, sorry. Yes. What is your favorite, Carly?
Okay, so my favorite is I think I have two as well. I really love that pale blue, it's probably even a pale teal dress that she wears when she's dreaming of Count Fersen,
Oh yeah.
when he's on the horse and um
Is that
you
the one
know,
with the belt?
yes, it has the red burgundy deep red belt. So the pairing of the that light blue teal and then the dark red belt, I feel like it's just you've never seen something like that before, and it's always been a favorite. But then my close second probably has to be the floral gown that she's wearing, where uh, with the background that's quite similar to the dress pattern she's wearing. So it's almost like she's fading into the wall there, and she's quite depressed at that time, but um, she looks beautiful.
Totally. No, that one is another one you think of is that pattern above her bed or and on her bed everywhere
Mm-hmm.
in that room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. The floral elements are, stunning in this one. Yeah, so I have an Instagram called Period Drama Style. And on that Instagram, I post Marie Antoinette a lot. It's one of my favorites to post about. And I run polls in my story for the costumes and often I post the dresses. And then in the comments and in the polls, I've noticed that people like, they love the blue one that you mentioned, and they love the floral gown, but they don't actually love the black masquerade ball gown that she wears, and they don't love that hot pink costume where, you know, it has the fur trim. People are not as, you know, crazy about those costumes, and I found that hard to believe. I think they're really beautiful and
Yeah,
unique.
I think they're unique. And I think that they were also used, you know, with a lot of intention because they they're not her normal uniform that she wears to the court. They're kind of, it's like they're kind of expressing her inner emotions, like definitely that pink uh you know, ruffly one.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of feeling a little annoyed and flustered and a little like a little spicy, you know, and you can tell by her expressions. She's looking over at him just like, why aren't you interested in me, you know? So I think that's kind of showing her inner turmoil she's having, and she's a little she's getting a little agitated and a little like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm just gonna do my own thing, you know? So it's the pink, hot pink.
I
And then
love that.
the black one, that's definitely, she's being sneaky. Like they're not really supposed to sneak out of the court and go to this ball probably.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's just something they're doing to have fun, and so she's kind of like a little bandit, you know. That's how I picture it.
I love that. Yeah, it's definitely a step away from the pastels that she normally wears. She's wearing black. That's like the complete opposite. Very cool.
Yeah, the other ones are her little Miss Goody Two Shoes ensemble,
Mm-hmm.
and these are her more
Rebellious.
rebellious side.
Love it.
Yeah, so that was a bit about Marie Antoinette, 2006, directed by Sofia Coppola. And I think that movie brought us together. You know, because sometimes in high school, we did have an age difference of 3 years. So, you know, it's something we could bond over. And it really sparked our love of movies. Um, and not just any movie. I mean, not your blockbuster movies. We're talking about indie art movies, artistic movies.
Yeah.
I think this was really the starter.
I think also the music, because I told you about how, like, well, I started listening to 80s music. I told you about the CDs that I would buy from Target. But so, like, when I started, I think Marie Antoinette, though, was definitely the linchpin to my music, love of music and alternative rock bands and all
Right,
that stuff,
right.
and music from the past that, like, just ignited something within us, I think, with when it came to music.
All right. Well, as we wrap up, I want to thank you, Kayla, for your personal stories and insights on the movie. One final question. Other than Marie Antoinette, what is your favorite Sofia Coppola film?
Oh, well, definitely Lost in Translation is a close
Mm-hmm.
second. It's so
Mm-hmm.
good. Obviously, a lot of people, it's probably one of our most popular movies
Mm-hmm.
for good reason. So definitely Lost in Translation.
Okay.
What about you?
I hate to repeat you, so, but it's Lost in Translation. I mean, you can't beat that one. It's got Scarlett Johansson, Bill Murray being very Bill Murray, and I don't know, set in Tokyo and just visually
Visually,
stunning.
I feel like one last point to make before we close out is
Mm-hmm.
Sofia Coppola, like all her films are so musically driven, I feel like, and
Oh,
they're
yes.
all just like you could almost just turn them all into like a music video, you know?
Oh, yeah.
They
Well,
so
yeah.
she puts a lot of focus on just the music in a lot of parts. Like especially Marie Antoinette, like, you know, I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
my favorite scene was in after the party in the little chariot or whatever, what's it called?
Carriage.
Carriage. And that could be a music video all in itself, that one little scene, you know?
Oh,
So
that's true.
oh, love her so much. Okay.
Oh, and also Priscilla was a recent
I
film
haven't
that
seen
was
it yet. I don't know how I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure
okay.
it's amazing.
Well, you'll watch it and we'll talk about it here. So, okay. Thank you all for tuning into our podcast, Swoon-Worthy. We can't wait to discuss more movies with you. And full disclaimer, we're going to bring up a lot of 90s, a lot of early 2000s movies, a lot of period dramas, because those tend to be our favorites. And follow me on Instagram. My account is Period Drama Style. And we'll see you back here next time. Thank you.